It's 2:44 a.m. At 1:44 a.m., I was guided to do a video. An hour later, which seemed like so much longer, especially when you feel any sense of pain and suffering, I had this anguish, this frustration, this irritability about civilization, human mankind, and how they use this phrase. Now remember, I'm not for or against. I know what it's like to be confronted about the fact that I was so against marijuana way back in the day, because I was programmed in a way where it said in commercials and everything else, it was like that egg on a frying pan. This is your brain on drugs. It's come a long way with educational, I guess, I don't even know where to go with this. I'll just get straight to the point. I was so frustrated that I called, people back in the day used to call it devil's lettuce. And I'm like, that's the human brain. The human brain is the devil's lettuce. When you look at mental health, you look at psychosocial stressors, you look at co-occurring disorders, and how, drinking alcohol isn't good for the brain. People get liquid courage, they act very differently. Never mind about the earthbound spirits that really enjoy this. And then you look at addictions like smoking and how people become chain smokers and they don't realize that, well, guess what? Spirit really enjoys that, feeding off of people that smoke, because they don't have the vessel anymore to know the sensation and feel the sensation of smoking. The same thing goes for drugs and alcohol. It's almost like they don't have the same consequence, yet the body does. And so, don't get me wrong, with marijuana, I know I was on medical marijuana up until December 2020. And I wasn't as compliant with it as one could be when you have these pills coming in from some of these places. I've went to it's not a distillery. I went to a plant in Quebec where they, I went to a distillery too. Yes, this is true. But either way, I've never been into alcohol because I'm allergic to it. And I came to knowing that later in life and just knew that I could just be picking up the energy being around people. I would turn to be at socials and go, I haven't had an ounce of alcohol. And then another person look at me and go, I haven't either. And I go, well, I feel drunk. Yeah, I do too. And we dance it off. That's highly sensitive souls. And so there's a lot of people struggling out there with addictions. There's a lot of people struggling with their mental and physical health. And they say there's good and there's evil in us as human beings with the conditioning and everything we've been programmed. Everything from our ancestrals to programming in schools, programming of friends, TV, YouTube is a big one, social media platforms, all of this stuff. And so people are addicted to that too. You can start reading about a certain subject and all of a sudden believe what it is you're reading and not even use discernment and realize, wait a second, is this really true? Is this factual? Where is this evidence based on? And so when you think of Alzheimer's, even Lou Gehrig's disease, dementia, all these things, you can't help but wonder, what is the scientific evidence? Truly, truly, truly. You know, I remember Roger when he was at the ALS, and I remember him telling me something along the lines of, oh, you know, when I lived in Toronto, I really experimented with drugs. And he kind of queried if he had ALS due to that. So sometimes there can be an underlying cause to certain things that occur. You know, people talk about mediums all the time and how they don't remember certain things, and it's instantly they can channel something, spirit comes through, they channel it, and then all of a sudden it's like, really, did I say that? And sometimes people do, especially if it's impactful and you need to remember it. For what reason, we're not sure. It depends on, I guess, the type of mediumship you're doing. So, for example, if you're, and don't get me wrong, if you're channeling for someone, it's very impactful. Let's say they lost their kids and there was something in particular and it just hung on to you. Well, there's a reason. We're all to learn from everything and everyone's experience. Even tonight, I'm beyond frustrated within that time period because I'm just like, yep, basically open the floodgates. Let's open up and let's find out why the HE double hockey sticks, these people are being ignorant and rude to my son. What is really going on? And then Spirit, of course, tells me. And I'm not even inquisitive about this. This is the unusual thing. This is like a collective in the universe, in the cosmos, beyond my understanding. It's almost like you're a rat in a cage or you're being experimented on. And so most people don't talk about this because they'll think you're crazy if you do. They'll want to put you in that box. So I channeled something tonight and I found out what? And knowing that a lot of people don't realize that your authenticity of who you are. I'm a white Caucasian woman right now in this lifetime. Other lifetimes, I've been of many different descents. A lot of people don't like hearing that because they work so hard because they think, oh, I'm going to be rebirthed, reincarnated into the same family. And I work so hard that I can work hard for my kids and then they can have a good life. And then maybe I'll come back as their grandchildren or great-grandchildren, or maybe, you never know. It all has to do with karma. It can be good, it can be bad. Merit, good or bad. And so some things channeled out of me tonight, and it was like, whoa, did I really want to know that? Do I really want that to stick with me and know that some things are going on with the band members? Not really. But now in the universe, they know, and there'll be those that'll be checking into it. Please use discernment, no matter what was channeled out of me, being a turtle of truth. I know I must be of a bear clan too in healing because I did walk the waters with them in a different way, searching for a body. Anyway, my son's story to tell. And so the reality is that there's some real players out there that are puppeteering and can be quite evil. I don't want to be one of those. I even apologize out to the universe, because those that were meant to hear were meant to hear, and those that weren't. But they still hear anyway. So we have to be careful with our laser tongue and the things we say. But I know there's this essence of me that comes forward. And stop that. It has nothing to do with borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia or anything of the sort. This has to do with everything that I've been programmed. And I'm talking about, as I said before, spending thousands of dollars on courses. I could have went and got a medical degree and got more respect in what I was doing, and possibly even more control with human beings. Isn't that awful? Go become a psychiatrist so I can have control over those that are going through, let's say, co-occurring disorders, where they're not them and themselves, and slapping a label on them, not to reassure them, but just to make them feel even worse than themselves, where they're on this teeter-totter and they're going around and around and around. And I'm talking about some brilliant fucking people, excuse my language, some brilliant, beautiful people that keep picking themselves apart over and over and over again, because there's such good people on this planet, stuck in some kind of loophole like spirit without a vessel, but there's spirit with a vessel, a body, that is. Why is it that people can't see the brilliance, the magnificence that they are? And you don't have to be a narcissist to see that. You do have to persevere, though, for sure, and face challenges and situations you don't, and you sit, and you may get stuck in the murky waters like a lotus flower and realize this is not what you want. And you learn from it, and you move on, and you give yourself some space and time, like stop, take a step back, observe, and process. That is so ingrained in my head. And we're talking on both sides, working mental health and having to struggle with it. Yet I do not want to categorize or label it at all. Anyone can be in a crisis at any time. There's a mental health issue right there. You lost somebody. Somebody died, a loved one. Guess what? That's a mental health crisis. You're not you, you're not yourself, you're not thinking the same. You're going through grief. It's like time stops. Everything around you slows down. Just get diagnosed with cancer or go through the process of any kind of surgery or different things, and you look around you and it's like the world keeps going. But it's like you're in a whole different twilight zone. Remember, when you treat people shitty in person, when they're right there before you with your judgment, you have to take a hard look at yourself. Because you never know what people have gone through or what they're going through. If you need to, just keep your mouth shut and say no thank you and back the fuck up. Seriously. Now, don't get me wrong. Your intuition may be like, yeah, I have to befriend this person. I need to walk away from this person. I know that they have faith and belief in certain things or systems or whatever the case may be that you may not. And that's okay. For your own well-being and worth, it's okay to back away. And even not ghosting them, but giving the dignity of saying no thank you. Now, if you have others joining on their bandwagon, then you know you're not meant to be a part of it either way. Know your worth. It's amazing how somebody that you love so much can come in and rob you of your light because they felt like theirs was robbed over and over again years ago. And you wonder, what the hell is being programmed into your mind? It reminds me of when I helped this guy in Sedona. I remember he was stuck in time. It was like he was frozen in time. I have these situations, even recently, where Spirit's been showing me frozen in time. It's crazy. So, for example, this guy would help him all the time. I remember he was stranded. He needed a battery. So I helped him with it. And then I kept seeing him around Sedona while I was staying there. And it was of service and helping him out. He was programmed to think that his dad sexually molested him. I had a clear knowing that wasn't the case. And he grew up in a Christian home where he said he was the golden boy. He was so good. And now awakened to the awakening of what is, and then playing trickery spirit, like, those are the kind of people I get. I'm like, okay, you're not crazy. This is real shit. And there are healers out there. There are people that, let's just say in disguise, that are professional, that get this shit too. But then there are those that are not. They haven't dealt with their shit. They like being in control. They like manipulating situations. They like other people going through dark nights of the soul so they can puppeteer and manipulate and make themselves seem what they are not. And so I know that there's been times like I was guided to help someone else. So I did, but on my way there, I was late. I looked at the time. It said 13 minutes later than expected. So I sent them a message. No problem. I'm like, okay. And I think of the number 4, angelical presence. I'm going to take a different route as I reflect and look back at all this. And Lord love a duck. It's 16. Okay. 7, Buddha's number. I take a whole different path. What do I see? I see somebody frozen in their car in time. It's hard to explain. Cars are driving around the vehicle, not paying attention. The car is car lengths away from the light. It's like nobody gives a shit. And this person is literally frozen. They have their phone in one hand, their hand on the steering wheel. And I look at the license plate and it adds up to 4. And the angelical presence was there. I was guiding traffic, called EMS. I was told by a medium who was an elder that told me, oh, I see these lights coming towards you. And, describing this, I'm like, oh, Lord, I hope not. Sure enough, she was bang on. And meanwhile, here I am. I'm directing traffic, waiting. I mean, this person is not waking up. The Spirit showed me the taillights are on. And I'm like, oh my. And so I instinctively know as soon as the first responders arrive, I am out of there in my car and gone. Praying that I don't get any kind of retribution, or pardon me, like having this ricochet effect in case, the person's alive, dead. And I realized, at first I wasn't sure. And then I realized, oh no, this person's breathing. But I don't know. Did the person have a stroke? Did the person have an aneurysm? Was the person under the influence of some type of intoxication of some sort? And then I found out, sure enough, the guy didn't even hear the fire trucks coming. Even even the fireman, the one guy opened the door of the passenger side, still nothing. Then I get in my car, I start to drive away. And as I'm just about to drive away, guy goes, holy shit. And it's the firefighter opening the door to the driver's side. And the guy is now I guess he wakes up unfrozen. He could have hurt himself and hurt others. Seriously. And then I wonder, is this spirit playing trickery or is this the angels at war? Like, what's going on? What's going on? People used to talk about the galactic beings, the gray and the blues being at war. I thought that was resolved. That was years and years ago. But then again, if war is going on overseas, and it has been for centuries, then who's to say that that's still not going on? I go, yep, probably. Either way, here I am reflecting and sharing and saying, you're not alone. This shit is real. Most don't understand it. There's a war in politics. There's a war in the medical system. There is war. There is war behind closed doors. You know, it's really hard for people to hear that, my gosh, guess what? Karmically, and some people don't believe in karma. They don't. They'd rather not. It's too difficult for them to hear. It's very difficult for them to hear that maybe they really struggled badly in this lifetime because the last lifetime, you know, they did some really evil stuff. And they're desperately wanting to live a life again and work themselves through it. Some will repeat the patterns in the cycle so that they can learn from it and come back. Some not. Some come back because they have done horrendous things. And then horrendous things happen to them. Everybody has different faiths and beliefs on how this is done. I don't know. I have to sit and ponder and use discernment. I've been taught so many different ways by so many different teachers. Like I said, the amount of money I spent in spirituality, I could have paid for a doctorate degree by now. And never mind, put the time and effort into it as well. Seriously. If we're looking at 2018 to now, I literally could have. It's insane when I look at it that way. But people get in the way of people's ascensions. I'm not kidding you. And then Spirit reminds me, nope, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. This is exactly, the signs are there, the synchronicities. And I'm like, how is this possible? How can I see what happened earlier today happen for me and not to me? And not be a victimhood to being victim to being abused. And to see possibly my part in it. Like I said earlier, how I remember and now remember how my son he was introduced to marijuana at a very young age. His story to tell. But how I was so judgmental of it. I wasn't that parent that sat down and smoked with him. I never was, even when I was on medical marijuana. And I believe that sometimes people awaken to the awakening and they get scared from their experience of their loved ones or situations from friends and whatever else, and they awaken and then they're programmed to think certain things. And then what do? They abuse those they love. And so there are those that haven't had the experiences that think they know. There are those that are professionals that have no idea yet. And maybe it's because their kids are young. And when their kids get older, they go through the experience and they wonder, what the hell? That's where time really doesn't exist, because every experience is different for every one of us. And I get to ponder on that. Some of those professionals that put themselves on a hierarchy and gossip and do, things that they have to live with eventually. Secrets come out. Nobody can hide anything. There's too many people in this ascension that are awakening to the awakening, and there are people that are angry and upset about war. And that's why we have to work on not saying anything bad about anyone. And it's really hard. It's really hard. It's very hard to withstand from being upset when you see those you love being mistreated, even for people ending up in hospital. And you're wondering, how the hell did that happen? How is that possible? Is somebody stopping that person from moving forward, from doing a prestige job that needs to be done at this time, that may have a clear knowing of things, and they want to avoid that person from doing that job professionally? Let's just pray that it makes them that much stronger in what they'll do moving forward. And that goes for my son. That goes for people I know and their kids. And that goes for all of them, because there are people that I know, even when I look at my son and I see him in so many different professional roles. But for some reason, he's been beaten down, and I don't even think it's from his father or I. I think it's mankind and the way, because really, I said this to him today because he was going on and on about his childhood. He's had a horrible adulthood. He's got to see the beauty in it as well, though. And that's up to him to see. But the thing that's hard as a mother is to see that I gave him everything that I could, because I didn't have it. I was part of that generation where my dad would beat me with a belt, so I refused to spank my child. So it was more of a laser tongue sort of thing, in fear, in ways that I just never wanted to abuse him physically or even mentally. I'd always protect him. I'd be a hard ass sometimes so he wouldn't get in trouble from his father, because his father, that was a whole different story. His mother, we're talking about farmers, or they're out in the field and the mother's at home doing everything, sewing, cooking, cleaning, raising kids, being evil because they didn't have enough support. What happens behind closed doors, most don't know. So my son was bringing up the residential schooling and how horrible, and I was like, yeah, I said, and any one of them would have gave up having a life that you had as a child. And I also know There are relatives of ours that have been, let's just say, incarcerated, have been, like, I reflect back and it's like, oh my God. We know people too that have been murdered. Even in my family, even a friend. I'm speaking of my own experiences and how I did the best I could because I didn't want that horrible experience for him growing up. But you can't shelter or protect your kids. You have to disconnect. And there's just so much more. Like, I know my ex and I had programming in a way of the military and the ways of life. Organization, discipline. But we didn't beat our child with the belt. I mean, I've even seen it. And when I think of my mother-in-law and how she was, I allowed the abuse. I protected my son. Why didn't I protect my niece? I guess in ways I would do things to try to prevent it. And I have to live with that. I never disciplined her though. Never. It wasn't my job. I knew better. But when it comes to behind closed doors, I think of somebody else. Again, we're talking about people that have had experiences because their parents were reverends, preachers of some sort, even priests. Nuns can keep themselves pretty clear, but they have their stories too, I'm sure. Yes, I'm getting out of the nunnery because of bearing a child kind of thing at certain times throughout history. But either way, lots of pain and suffering. When do we get to celebrate and have hope? Because there are people that are doing horrendous things. Horrendous things. Because they're trying to hide their dirty little secrets. They're fearful. Fearful. What is the difference, Spirit, between fearful? Fear. And so, either way, I have so many videos that it looks like I may have to upload if I can put my vulnerability out there. I have some beautiful ones as well. videos that just go on and on and on about what it is you basically should not do when it comes to spirituality, and try to advice give in what you should do, because they themselves have dirty secrets that they have hidden for a long time and have taken part in and can't even live with themselves. I know myself, I don't want to sell my soul to the devil. And I say that from a heart-centered place, because when you hear a human being that's homeless, that turns to you and says they sold their soul to the devil, it's one of the most heart-wrenching things you can hear another person say. And they don't even have to tell you their experience or their story. That's like the devil's lettuce. Is getting into the brains of human mankind through programming. And those that don't understand programming, in order to, back in the day, make a computer operate, you had to use the DOS program in order for the communication to come up on the screen. So people create, and then they communicate. And then you take what it is you want to take, and you leave what you don't. Use discernment, even in everything I share on my videos. Please and thank you, as I do not take responsibility for how you may receive. And the reason being, each of us living an experience, each of us are so different in our experience because of the perspectives and the experiences, all the experiences from the time we're born, and all the people and beings of spirit of all kinds have come and gone in our lives and are still with us, creating in different ways, can receive a message so very differently. May you please persevere. May you please persevere. May you please persevere no matter what. It's not a matter of right or wrong. It's not a matter of truth, as in I'm telling truth and someone's lying. It's not of that. Even tonight on my Buddha board, after my son was kicked out of my home, because I say no to abuse and I love him so much, on the Buddha board, I was just like, with spirit, like, as in within my heart, like no expectations here. Just, I have to write something. And what came forward is, it is not your fault. It is not his fault. Nobody's at fault here. It's the experience. And it's so heart-wrenching because there are those that are messing with people's ascension and people's lives. And it's hard for each and every one of us to take accountability and responsibility for our behaviors. And the hardest one is when you get poked and prod at and nitpicked for who you are as a human being and your characteristics, your character, your characteristics of who you are from all the experiences. And so I'd much rather not label. And that's what people do, day in, day out. It's part of their instincts to stay away from somebody. Oh, gosh forbid, stay away from them because they're going through the dark night of the soul. You don't want to get sucked into that wormhole. Honestly. Programming. You know, I watched this video and I'm going, oh, Lord, love a duck, on YouTube. Earlier I was talking, I had watched this and I'm like, I want to finish watching it. And I kept getting distracted every time I'd watch it. Every time something, and be like, numbers will add up to this, add up to that. Okay, message. It's like, this is crazy. I'm like, I just want to watch the whole thing. And then he talks about the difference in a guru. I had said this message before in a video. Be your own guru. Pardon me, correction. I did it in writing. Just be your own guru. No matter what the hell anyone teaches you, no matter what anyone says, go with what your heart is communicating back to you. Be your own guru. Doesn't matter what faith, what religion, what color, borders or no borders. Be you. And I guess if you're going to be a fucking asshole, own it. Like, really, own it. At the same time, no, there are times you are not you or yourself. I so believe that. I've seen enough in people. And I'll leave if you only knew. That's why it's best sometimes just be in the stillness of what is and not say a thing. And value not only silence, and trust me, the gift to communicate and share and educate is important as well. Because then that gives you the option to use discernment and to choose what it is that you want to absorb in a way of programming the human being going forward. But don't get me wrong, there are those that will affect you. You can always say, no, thank you. And at times it can be very hard. Be kind to yourself. And so let's not forget the love and kindness. May you be free from anger. May you be free from ill will. May you be free from jealousy. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live in peace. May you live happy. And may you wish that upon each and every person you've ever had come in and out of your life, every being, in every place, in every item you own. This may sound bizarre, but with the imprinting, the witchcraft, the warlocks, the sorcery, the stuff that goes on, even for those to get themselves ahead, it catches up with them. The so-called fame and fortune, it can be interpreted in different ways. You can have fame in a way of having those around you that love you genuinely, right down to the deepness of the soul, you have a connection. That's wealth. Having those surround you, even in anger, or may not agree, that is wealth. But when it comes to other things, and I know somebody's chiming in right now, and that is evil. Because I blocked her out in real life. And she likes to steal people's things in a way of social media. Like, let's say you share something. Be aware, by the way. Maybe that's why so many people are going to AI and just, I have a thought, okay, let's get the collective of AI and just share it. Because people sharing their personal stories and other people taking it as their own is not cool. Or pretending it's somebody else's. Or comparing it with somebody that was there that had a totally different experience. And so, in reality, see how spirit can cause havoc and can come in and interfere with something you may be doing. So it just tells me I need to put greater walls up. And so at the same time, we're all tested. May we have some joy. May we have some peace. May we have some tranquility. May we know that there are others that are being tricked and there's nothing you can do about it. You pray to God. And you know what? I believe there's something greater than God. We say God is love, love is God. And some people say, well, God spelled backwards is dog. And you know what? Today, my dog and what she witnessed was upsetting to me. She's cuddling right next to me and she's doing great. But I'm not great with it. I don't like arguing. I promised her, like, she did something crazy. I don't know if it was my son's agitation sitting and eating at the table to have me sit down because I was attending to her in certain ways with her food and stuff. She literally jumped up on the table. I'm like, how is this possible? A dog can jump up on a couch. She comes to the monastery with me and she's so good. But she literally, something of a different force was around. I can't even describe it. I was shocked. I literally had to send spirit into the light, like to move along. Playing havoc again with my son's head and with me. My dog takes these deep sighs and I'm like, oh my. But she literally, like a kangaroo, or a cat, Because afterwards, I was just like, to my son saying, like, this is crazy. And she's only like a 9-pound Chinese crescent, 3/4, give or take. She's a mixture. She's her own unique being. This is the same dog that bows down to a statue of Buddha and a downward dog. And you're like, there's a Buddha in her. Anyway, it's just insane. I'm bewildered, yes, this is true. I'm so bewildered. There's been a lot of things I've gone through. If I start going back to those old videos and I start sharing them, you guys would be shocked. Absolutely shocked. Like shocked. But then there'd be those that be like, so, what's the word? When I worked mental health, you become conditioned in a way where you decompartmentalize it, but you also become detached. It's not that you're insensitive. You're compassionate, you're kind, you're caring. As a professional, you're non-judgmental in your writing. You have to be. In nursing documentation, like the professional, everyone was sent, whether you're a nurse or not, and you learned that less is more, but in reality, is it? It's all about legality, covering your ass. I can see why I left the profession. It wasn't because I was burned out. There was some crazy shit going on behind the scenes. Crazy shit. Like, we're talking, there's people struggling with addictions themselves that were like in charge. And other things going on with them that not only affect me, and then never mind, I had a coworker, I swear to God now, he's a game player in a different way in the universe. But he knows when the opportunity came for me, I'd always say no, no, no. And I was so tested by spirit, I could have tortured him, but I refused to. I wasn't a game player. This guy put a note in somebody else's mailbox. He literally put a note in somebody else's mailbox, tried to blame others, and I believe it was me. But this person that got the letter knew it wasn't, because this person I had conversation and realized, holy shit. You want to talk about devil's lettuce of the brain and the puppeteers that are puppeteering, screwing with human mankind, screwing with presidents, prime ministers. I'm not kidding you. It's insane. There are people hiding in their houses, working let's say, okay, in shamanism, there's the underworld, middle world. It's a little different, right? When you're asking for the seraphims to come down and shower down on a whole different dimension that most healers won't even share with others. To me, that's control. When somebody turns around and tells you there's only 9 dimensions, it goes way higher than that. That tells me that those higher dimensions, these people, they want to be in control, puppeteering. And so there's people that have felt hooks in their backs, knives, psychic attacks that are so unbelievable. Some people don't even want to leave their own homes. They have people that show up unannounced in the oddest behaviors. I've had it happen in Alberta. People would just show up in the oddest ways. And then I'd get known right away what they were there for. I'm not paranoid delusional. We're talking about some really sick people that were being game played. And I hope that they're doing well now. This doesn't just happen in the prisons. This just doesn't happen in the military. This happens in the medical system. This is happening under many umbrellas. Police departments, all different frontline work. Even in different faiths where they're trying to control it all. They're the biggest puppeteers of all. Why do you think nuns and priests and reverends and all of that sit and pray so much? I was going to be a reverend. I was going to be a police officer. I didn't expect to take the mental health path, but I did. And specializing. Now, was that a distraction and addictions? Is this what this is? Control? People feeling addicted to it because they get results so quickly? And it's almost like, here we are, there's this whole ladder effect where people are, it's almost like in the military when you get ranks. This is something years and years and years ago I would hear people say that people were doing in the universe, gaining rank so that they can have power over decisions, amongst other things that were going on in the world. We're talking about dirty little secrets that people don't want other people to know. And there are people struggling and they're finding their ways, their coping strategies of different things to do. And I know mine, I'm gearing away from what I once did and have done for years. They say when people like me do these videos, because I'm not doing it on a professional level, like let's have the right backdrop, which I do, I have a mic on my computer, let's have all the props, let's have the beautiful background, let's gain the collective followers, let's change our clothes and do a bunch of videos all at once and program a certain time so that they get released and so that you have all this time so that those of the watchers aren't going to harass you and bother you because you've done so much work. We're talking about crazy shit. I don't care about my backdrop. Do I care about the way I look? Of course I do. It's a human conditioning thing. I've been programmed over the years. My that, dress for success. You gotta look good. I mean, how many people don't look like the way they do on camera and you meet them in person? Nothing what you expect. It just, we're talking about this stuff is real. And never mind how spirit can play havoc with you, with anybody that comes into your life. Now, I'm talking about all those people like myself that have taken shamanism classes, that have taken like many different classes. There are those that haven't, that have a clear knowing, that are listening in the universe, picking up everything and anything they can from anyone. But what happens is they're not getting the full picture. But don't get me wrong, some of them are brilliant. I don't know why, but Albert Einstein was brought up tonight. And I think to myself, yep, we're all programmed to see his brilliance, to see his magnificence, to see him who he was. I have a book for my son that I supported someone else that wrote. And there's things about Albert Einstein people don't know. He had faults like the rest of us, especially when it came to women. It made him very weak. Do stupid things, even though he was brilliant. And so the reality is we're all human beings doing the best that we can with the circumstances we're handed. And fear feeds crazy stuff. Like I said, that head of lettuce. And so, notice how that was changed? But it just is, and that's how it can happen. I'll just share this one tidbit more. I remember observing and seeing the monks, and they would literally be so inundated with spirit. They would have to read the love and kindness prayer. Literally read it, even though they knew it. They knew it from the back of their hands. But spirit will come in and play trickery, and then you found yourself, for those of you, don't be hard on yourself, where you're saying something and it slips out. Apologize anyway, if you can, and they're not messing with your mind. The devil's lettuce. Make sure that you say, I'm psychic. It's time I think people wake up to all that, to the truth, instead of being controlled and manipulated. And just know those people that are the SSRs are making them crazy, suicidal. Science hasn't come up with something yet to help those people, like myself, other than a sleeping aid, which I'm going to take right away and go to sleep and pray to God. Archangel Michael watches over me and other parts of my team members so that I have a blissful sleep. Because I'll tell you, the weirdest effing dream this morning, or dreams, Lord love a duck. And I swear to God, one of the teachers is manifesting this because she can be evil. She talked about how, like I was programmed this back in 2019, that in heaven or on the other side, when you cross over, possibly this middle world, who knows? Either way, that they're the beings, consciousness, our personalities, our experiences, everything, all in a nutshell, in a certain way. We're up there. And I know we're creating because it's like, okay, this life I'm going to come back and I'm going to have to face this. I'm going to look like this. I'm going to be yo-yo with my weight up and down. I'm going to end up doing this, experience this, and do that. And let's compare how we did when we cross over, which is crazy to think this way, but either way. And all of a sudden, there's a cafeteria. And I remember this weird dream where it was like that. Like, we didn't need food, but part of creation was you still were creating. And so I get this dream where I see a lizard-like human being. And I mean, this is galactic being stuff, ET stuff, whatever you want to call it. They don't like being called ET, extraterrestrial, in case I'm not enunciating that right. Forgive me. I was corrected today with my son. Nitpicking. And it's like, did I nitpick him? Because holy shit, I know his father did. And I tried to prevent that at times. But then his mother did, right? It's a generational thing. It's evil. So either way, angelical, like, I'm like, where the hell were they today? But back to this. See what happens? I say something not nice about someone, and then I get derailed. And now here I am speaking with you again. Give me a moment. It will come back because I'm going to pray for it. And what it is I know that I was there to help break the chains of abuse. And I don't know why I'm speaking of this, but I will anyway. When it came to those that were evil to me, I'd be nice to them anyway. I'd be nice to them anyway. When people are going through pain and suffering, they can be really cruel. And that pain and suffering can really impact others. And so there's a lot of people out there, back to rewinding what I was saying earlier. And this is how you can see how spirit will play trickery with me as I'm speaking with you. I am of sound in mind. I'm telling you this right now. And this is what can happen to people. Has nothing to do with Alzheimer's. Has nothing to do with dementia. It has nothing to do with, obviously my body is fine, ALS. It has nothing to do with personality disorder. It has nothing to do with psychosocial stressors. This is crazy. But there are people that are compulsive liars. They have things that come out of their mouth, so use discernment. There may be some cruel people out there at their truth, and it really hurts to hear it. And so when you pray for someone or pray for anything, you have to be very careful what you manifest. Some people would say we're all puppeteers. Because when we start getting into, let's just say there is the normal 3D world, people are just doing their thing, they're getting sick, they don't understand why, they're living the life experience. Then you go on to this different dimension where you're doing prayers. And it's almost like you're praying for others. And then all of a sudden, you're making wishes. And you sure hope that the people are of pure intention of love. Because even when you are of pure intention of love, you can end up, because of karma, good things coming forward, but sometimes it may not be so good. Because it's like praying for someone to be truth. They have to find their own truth within them. Because you know yourself and your own fear in knowing when people aren't truth, how spirit can come and haunt you and harass you and torment you and pick you apart. Like we're talking shredding your soul. Because from there, where they've climbed the ladder, they think that they've ascended in a greater matter and that they're better than you. And so it's almost like sending a pack of wolves after you and chopping you up into pieces because they think they know, and they don't. We never know anyone's situation or position. And so majority of the time it's due to fear. So people will do things to protect their best interests. So I know when we're in pain and suffering and somebody fucks with my son, and I see it energetically and it's happened more than once, it's painful. I fear there are those that will pick him apart for every little thing and not see the hero he was in many different circumstances and situations. If you only knew. And that's how we all have to look at each other. You never know who's standing next to you in line, whether it's energetically or whether it's human mankind. You never know what they've been through. It's like Archangel Raphael. Here we go. Compassion, compassion, compassion for earthbound spirits. Even though I'm like, get into the light, don't cheat yourself, sort of thing. Everybody has different teachings and how to deal with that. And so when you've had as many teachers as I've had, you almost don't even want to become a teacher. You don't, and here I am teaching in a different way. Because there are those that feel like people's ascensions would be greatly affected and they can't control them anymore. Or they have the fear that if these people are in the knowing, what would they do with it? What would be their intentions now? Would it be like a revolution? What would it be like? What side would that person pick? Is there such a side? When I was asked by Spirit, what side would you pick? I didn't answer. You'd always feel, I am good, I am good, I am good. I'm of love and kindness. I am good, I am good, I am good. But when you went through abuse and you've been nitpicked apart by human mankind and spirit, and then the human mankind, one of your teachers, uses it against you, and you yourself aren't at that catapult state of even knowing your own truth, but just being so open and loving, getting sucked in, tortured in the process due to it, that you become so open afterwards. It's not because you don't give a shit. It's because it's pure, authentic honesty, pure vulnerability, pure beauty in ways that exceed the vessel. And people are jealous of that. And they will gaslight you. And that's heart-wrenching for me. Heart-wrenching. I'm in pain and suffering. Some would say the dark night of the soul. I refuse to accept that, knowing that people create books from other people's books. I will persevere every day of my awakened being. Some of these hierarchy gurus have fear too. Just like those people that get big dogs because they think they'll protect them. Big dogs get scared too, is what I was told by someone at one time. So thank you. My dog's astral traveling. She becomes like a horse. She has a purpose here in 2026, greater than I realize. And I realize that as much as we all have dogs be service to us, maybe it's time for us to truly, and I mean truly, be service to them. Spirit got to me where I had to give up my dog for adoption. I stood in front of the mirror. When the dog went out the door with someone who I trust, I screamed and yelled at myself in the mirror, never to forget this, when I gave her up for adoption. The dog before that was taken from me, who was almost 14 years old, that was near and dear to my heart, that had epilepsy and other complications. When he couldn't go to the bathroom because he was on brodomide, I literally carried him, and it was the CBD oil that worked that gave him a longer life to live. So when you use it as devil's lettuce, then I guess I was feeding my dog devil lettuce. But at the same time, I don't believe it to be true. The devil's lettuce is of the mind. And what it is you believe or you do not believe in by bearing judgment upon yourself and others. And if I could be in prayer hands right now, I would be. But instead, I have my hand on my heart. Much needed at this time. May you be well. May you be happy. May you find inner peace and have hope for the world, as I believe, as others have believed. Times of crisis is occurring, as even I speak. Others too know it. We're all in this together, like a bunch of souls in the ocean. Look at us all, sea urchins, trying to survive the big waves that are coming throughout the air.